Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Empire State Weekly. I'm Tim Lake in Albany. There are just 4 days left now in the legislative session at the Capitol here in Albany. And here's a quick recap now of some of the significant measures that have already been passed this year. Recreational marijuana for adults in the state is now legal. That was a big one. The law automatically expunges the record of many people convicted of possessing marijuana. It's expected to generate some $350 million in tax revenue a year and create up to 60,000 new jobs. Also, New York repealed legal immunity for nursing homes and other health care facilities for pandemic-related care. The legislature also passing a bill that boosts staffing levels in these nursing homes. It's still waiting now to get to the governor's desk. And we're joined now by Empire State Weekly Capitol correspondent Karina Capabianca to discuss these bills that could be passed over the next few days. And if they're passed is any indication, you're going to have a busy week. Thank you for being with us here. Yeah. All right, let's start off with gun control. New York already has some of the strongest gun legislative bills in the country, laws in the country, but many advocates want more. One example is some of these Democratic mayors that have seen an uptick in pandemic gun violence want both national and more state legislation to control guns. One of them would make it easier for people to sue gun makers. What's that all about?
Yes, so the Senate passed a whole slew of bills this week relating to gun violence and gun control, and one of them would make it easier to bring civil suits against these gun manufacturers. And the thought there is to be able to stop the illegal flow of guns into New York State. Republicans, on the other hand, say that there are more than enough gun control measures already in the state, and they blame some of the issues on criminal justice reforms.
Is this getting a lot of attention at the Capitol?
Well, it's interesting because the Assembly still hasn't taken on a lot of these bills, so we'll have to wait to see next week if they start to pass some of these as well.
Yeah. I also noted that Senator Gianaris from the city, New York City, wants this 10-day wait for gun permit applications, kind of a cooling off time. And I know that there had just been a record number of applications for gun permits across the country. I guess this would also give more time to do these background checks?
Yeah, that's correct. So with this, you'd have to wait 10 days, and the thought there is so that these background checks can be completed before someone's able to obtain a gun. With this one also, it doesn't look like there's an Assembly sponsor right now.
All right, another bill that has to do with safety is, it's difficult to understand. It's qualified police immunity. So essentially, police in New York have a level of immunity right now. If they go in and violate somebody's rights and then later say, I really didn't understand that I was violating someone's civil right. Is that an easy way to understand that?
Yeah, I'd say that's a great assessment of the way that the law currently works. So this would increase accountability for police officers. There are some police organizations out there that support it and others that don't, and that say that having a rule like this on the books will have, less people coming forward to want to become police officers if they're afraid of getting sued.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind, we also have the governor's executive order demanding police reform in general among police departments around the state. So this would make it even stricter for them. Another issue is bills allowing older people to gain parole. You've got people who have been in prison for an incredibly long amount of time. And I guess the state feels that once you reach a certain age, you should be able to get parole. And then it would also allow them to expunge the records of some parolees. Is there pushback on this bill?
Yeah, there is some pushback from Republicans on this, but yes, the clean slate legislation, for some people who've already served their time, you would see that their records would be sealed. So advocates say that this would help them with employment and also getting into schools.
Now, last week, as you recalled on the program, we talked extensively about the issue of extending the time period for alcohol to go. This is where you order your food from a restaurant, and the state, for a temporary time, also allows them to sell you drinks, mixed drinks or what have you, to go home with your food. They've also allowed a bottle of wine to be sold from the restaurant to go home with your food. So the advocates say this is working well and they want to extend it, but there's some opposition here, isn't there?
Yes, for restaurants, I think that this has been a huge lifeline, but there has been some opposition from liquor stores who don't want to compete with restaurants selling whole bottles. So in the works right now, they're talking about extending this possibly 1 to 2 years, but it seems like right now it would just be that restaurants, bartenders would have to create their own drinks, not sell whole bottles.
What's your experience tell you about how this may end up at the end of the week?
I honestly do think that it will be negotiated and they'll be able to find some middle ground on this one.
A compromise here?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you've got, everybody goes to restaurants. You've got restaurants all over the state supporting this. So yeah, I get the impression there could be a compromise on this as well, and you're going to see at least a year to extend this to have alcohol to go.
And I think it's been something that is very popular amongst the public.
I know there's a lot of activity to get some type of broadband measures to either help broadband companies install services or to offer other methods for low-income people to get broadband, whether it's in New York City or in the rural areas. Is that moving through?
Yeah, there's a few proposals out there. One would make broadband a utility that's overseen by the Public Service Commission. So advocates say that that would hold these internet service providers accountable. There's also legislation that would make it easier for internet service providers to attach equipment to existing telephone poles that could really help out in some rural areas.
All right, we've got just about a minute left here, and we're talking with Karina Capabianca, the Empire State Weekly Capitol correspondent. And I know you've seen this. The governor has put out an invitation for people to come to a fundraiser later this month. For $10,000, you can come and donate to his campaign. So even though he hasn't officially said it, he's running for this 4th term. With that said, are we seeing any movement from the Attorney General or from the Assembly on the investigations into these allegations of sexual misconduct in the workplace by the governor?
Well, I can tell you that the Attorney General's report into the sexual harassment allegations leveled at the governor is what everyone at the state capitol is waiting for. We do not know at this time how long that will take. As far as the Assembly impeachment investigation goes, we know that that will likely take months, and it is more expansive in its scope.
We also should note the Attorney General has done some interviews on this on the national network cable shows, and she's been questioned and answered questions about her other investigations, but when this topic comes up, she's absolutely mum. So she's playing her cards very close to her vest on this.
Yes, very, very close, and as I said, it's just difficult to tell when exactly this report will drop.
All right, I know it's going to be big news, and you're going to be covering it for us at the Capitol when it does happen. Karina Capabianca, Empire State Weekly Capitol correspondent, has been our guest today, and good luck. You're going to have a busy week, I know it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Getting vaccinated at the doctor's office. An upstate physician will start administering the COVID shot as soon as Monday. How he's hoping to promote vaccine confidence, especially among parents making decisions about their teenage kids.